and welcome to this new tutorial. What you have just heard, it's coming from this little idea. And thanks to the effects and some technique, it turns into this. Much more dynamic, much more full. And the fun thing is that everything I've added to this to loop is coming from these loops themselves. Now, this tutorial will be a collection, let's call it like this, of technique and effects usage that I explained separately in other tutorials. But I think it's good sometimes to do video like this one, just to show you some new tricks, some new technique, because every session is different. So maybe we want to use different technique to achieve the same result or different result, of course. Now, I have here this 3/3 loop and this drum loop. I choose to use a drum loop just because it's easier for you to follow the tutorial and we don't have to watch on all the parts and different kind of stuff. And the second reason is because even if this is a single loop, we can do a lot of things to make it sound better. So let's copy these two samples in a blank bank. Nice. So the first thing I want to do is to work a little bit on this 3/3, and I want to copy this line here because I want to subdivide the original one and layer other stuff on top, and I can use the same loop. Now let's start with the original one, and I want to we are on bus 2, it's cool. And I want to use, first of all, a little bit of distortion. Not that much. So let's resample this one. Okay. Now let's exchange this one and delete the original. Let's make a pattern here. Record. Yeah. Now, I want to use this part here as a layer. And what I want to achieve with that is stereo width and a little bit more bite and character for this 3/3, which is sounding still now a little bit flat. So let's switch on bus 2. It was already on. And the first effect I want to use is the crusher, because I want to give it some crunchy something like that. I want to add a little bit of movement so I can resample and make this movement manually. Cool. Now we can easily delete that one. Let's switch on bus 2 because it's not finished here. Now we have add some kind of movement. Now I want to add the tremolo, and I want to spread these really on the side, so I use the trick I show you on my last video. Maybe something like that. And resample. Yes. Let's delete that one. Switch the bus. And I want to use now, because this is a layer, and I want to layer this on top of this, I want to use a compressor, and I want to really compress this. Let's try different. Yes, you can clearly hear that the transient is popping out a little bit more, and that's what I want. Cool. Let's delete that one, and let's place this here. Now I want to mute for a little moment the drum and add the layer. Yeah. Another thing, right? Yeah. Now I want to work a little bit more on the original one, and I want to use also here a little bit of compression. So let's try the 303, which is a really good compressor. Nice, let's resample. I just added a little bit more of bite. I don't want the movement be the same as this, but similar, just less noticeable. And now I want to add a slicer. The slicer is here, because if you are smart enough, you can use the slicer kind as a sidechain. Obviously, it's not the same, but you can put some holes in your loop. Now let's try to exchange and see what happens. You can clearly hear that it seems that it's pumping a little bit more, and if you add yeah, that's nice. So let's resample. Cool. Let's exchange. Delete this one and delete this one. Okay. Nice. So let's work a little bit on this loop. I want to copy this loop, and I want to make 2 copies of this one. Then you will see why. This is not bad, but you can achieve more widthness Also, if you don't have access to the stems, to the head part or percussion part. And we can subdivide with a filter and take only the high frequencies. So let's use a super filter. Kudos to, I don't remember your name, but a guy in a comments of YouTube or Reddit say that I can use this trick here to select the effect list, which I was aware of, but I'm not that used. So I'm forcing to use this way here because, yeah, it's convenient, it's faster. It's only a matter to remember that this kind of technique is here. Now I want to use, as I said, the filter. Just picking this frequency, so yes, let's delete that one. And now I want to use some kind of compression. So let's use again the 303, or let's try the maybe, okay. And let's switch to the 303. Maybe this is better, so it's more aggressive, and I want this kind of aggression because we want something to add on top of this. So nice, delete that one, and let's use the distortion. Now I want to use the cassette distortion, the drive, which is in the second page of the cassette simulator. And by playing with the age parameter, you can kind of filter a little bit the edges. Now let's resample, and as you can hear, we have also backed up a little bit the lowest frequency, so we are hearing a little bit more the kick. So now I want to use again a filter just to roll off all these frequencies because we don't need them. Nice. And the final touch I want to do is to use a tremolo again. Let's switch the bass, but not in this extreme settings, just to have a little touch of stereo with more. Nice. Let's resample again. Let's place this here, and I want to mute the 303. And let's place on top as you can hear, there are phase issues. But we can manage with the phase issues with the sequencer. So the trick here is to pick the second sample we have added, go into the pattern edit and in the microscope edit page, and simply just shift a little bit. This way we can easily manage with the phase, and of course now we have to manage with the volume. Now let's hear it. Yeah. So we have solved our phase shifting problems, and with the other copy of this loop here, I want to do some percussion stuff or something similar. And one way to do that is to use the Toguru, which is on the first page, this one. You can use it in different ways. Now we have to, of course, yeah, not bad. Let's resample. Now we can delete that one and filter also this one. So let's use this just to roll off a little bit of the basses. Cool. Now we can delete and let's use a downer. Yeah, this is sort of glitchy percussion. Nice. Let's see if this thing works. Yes. You can of course add something else, like a little bit of panning. And we have basically started this session from this 2 loop here. Now it's much more fuller, and you can continue to work on the session. Of course, I want just to show you how much thing you can do with 2 loops to begin your session. So it's all matter of knowing your machine and pushing it in strange territory and territory where this thing is not supposed to work. That being said, if you need samples for your ESP Octatrack or any sampler, you can check my Gumroad page alongside my services of mixing and mastering. And as I said on my last video, I'm working on my one-on-one online lesson services, which is almost ready. As always, I hope this tutorial will be useful for you and gives you some new ideas. And thank you for watching. See you next time. Ciao!